for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The goal of the Board of County Road Commissioners of the County of Kalamazoo is using our expertise, energy, and funds to provide the safest and most convenient road system possible, and to contribute to the economic development and high quality of life throughout the county. Our goal is to maintain a county road system that is safe and convenient for public travel, and to manage the roadside environment with a view towards preservation. First item of the agenda is the approval of the agenda. A motion would be in order.
So moved.
Support. We have a motion by Commissioner Kennedy with support to approve the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion amongst the audience here in the building or online or amongst commissioners? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Next is the approval of the minutes of the January 13th board meeting. A motion would be in order.
So moved, Thompson. Support, Davis.
We have a motion by Commissioner Thompson with support to approve the January 13th board meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussions, additions, deletions, corrections amongst the audience here in the building or online or amongst commissioners? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the January 13th minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Next is approval of the payroll and vendor accounts. Payroll of $244,978.63 and vendor accounts of $1,005,908.50. A motion would be in order.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Stayhauer with support to approve the payroll and vendor accounts as presented. Is there any discussion amongst the audience here in the building on the payroll and vendor accounts or online or amongst commissioners? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the payroll and vendor accounts as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Next is public comment on non-agenda items. This is an opportunity for the public to speak on non-agenda items. There will be a second opportunity later in the meeting. Please come forward and state your name, and you have 3 minutes. Let us know your thoughts.
Excellent. Hello, my name is Jane Ghosh. I'm the president and CEO of Discover Kalamazoo. Discover Kalamazoo is the Convention and Visitors Bureau for Kalamazoo County. Our job is to bring in out-of-towners because when they come, they support and sustain the amenities that Kalamazoo County residents enjoy. So whether that be restaurants or attractions or performing arts. So that's why we work. We work on behalf and under management agreement with the Kalamazoo County. And many of the visitors that come into our county come in for sports events. So events that tournament organizers could have, you know, any place they chose, and they choose to have them in Kalamazoo County for many reasons. One of them is because we have the right facilities to meet their needs. Our top sports are ice hockey, figure skating, wrestling, soccer, and tennis, because we have the right facilities to host those tournaments. Way more kids, for example, versus ice hockey and figure skating and wrestling, way more kids play basketball and volleyball, but we don't host any tournaments in basketball and volleyball because we don't have the right facilities for those sports. Discover Kalamazoo has worked with the county to put together an ordinance to allow the hotels to have an incremental assessment to pay for a new facility. And the hotels got to vote whether or not to have an assessment, an incremental 4% assessment on hotel stays in order to fund a new facility. And hotels voted 82% yes. They got 1 vote per room, and they overwhelmingly voted in favor of raising money to build a new facility to host basketball and volleyball. After that vote was taken, the assessments started being collected, and we did a site selection exercise to figure out where in the county this facility could best go. And we chose a site that is near the intersection of West Main and 131, that is in the city of Kalamazoo, but surrounded by Ashdamo Township. And the county established an ad hoc committee, which selected that site, and then the county agreed it. Since then, the county and the city established the Kalamazoo County Event Center Assessment District to collect and manage that revenue. There's now a board in place. That board, after that site was selected, has been working very closely with both the city of Kalamazoo and Ashdamo Township take that now from an idea to reality. We're very fortunate. Ryan Pincus has been meeting with us and this cross-functional group every other week to keep that project on track. And we are now at the stage where we're going to be coming to the Kalamazoo County Road Commission regarding the extension of Maple Hill Drive north from West Main to the facility. So it'll be extended north of Croydon, and our ask of the road commission is a few things. There's going to be two exceptions that we're going to be asking for. One is for a safe way. We want the road to be as safe as possible. We know it needs to meet the needs of the county road commission. We know it needs to meet the needs of the surrounding residents. It also needs to meet the needs of the hotels who are paying for this facility, and then ultimately the people who are using the facility for both during the week and for weekend tournaments. And so we want a safe way to cross the road. There'll be non-motorized paths extended from Croydon, and we intend to have an additional non-motorized path on the west side of Maple Hill Drive. So we want a safe way for people to be able to cross that road. And then we cannot fit sufficient parking on the site. And we are also asking for on-street parking for a portion of that Maple Hill Drive. So our plan, which you will see in the coming weeks, is for a 32-foot wide road, which would have 2 lanes of traffic and then 1 lane for on-street parking. Once further development happens, there'll be other places for people to park, and we will no longer need that on-street parking. And at the same time, once further development happens, we believe we'll want a center turn lane. And so having it built to 32 feet with on-street parking will keep, we believe in the short term, solve our parking needs, keep traffic, hopefully, calm, and then serve to have the road built for the future, for the future state. We'll want, the turn lanes. The first priority really is safety. So anything that we can do for road calming, and that was, there's pros and cons to all the different road calming options that were discussed. We do believe that the on-street parking would help calm traffic as well as provide our additional parking needs. So you'll be hearing more about the project in the coming weeks, but I just wanted to introduce you to it, and thank you very much, and thank staff very much for the support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, continue to work with staff, and we'll see this project move forward. Thank you very much. Any other public comment on non-agenda items here in the building or online? Anyone online would like to make public comment on non-agenda items? Hearing none. All right, we will continue on with our agenda. First item on the agenda is a presentation on road funding by Public Relations Director Mark Worden. Mr. Worden.
Just a moment while we get our IT. See, I step up to the podium and everybody leaves. I'm used to it. Oh, I don't need that, do I? Okay. All right. Mark Worden, Public Relations Director. Now that the room hearing at the Road Commission has cleared out, probably because the topic is so riveting, road funding and the new road funding. So we're going to cover, Broncos. I don't anybody who's ever been around me for any time at all knows I'm a huge Bronco fan. So go Broncos. We're going to cover road funding, federal, state, local. We'll talk about the new road funding and how that impacts our township partners. And I do want to start off by saying there's a test at the end. So I'll let you know what the question is. It's one question. What percent of the road miles in Kalamazoo County does the Road Commission oversee? So here's a gas pump that shows our gas tax in the state of Michigan. And the top one, that 21 cents, I'll come back to. But for right now, we're going to focus on the 18.4 cents, the federal gas tax. Here's your eye chart. This is how we distribute federal dollars. I'm not going through this. I just wanted to show you how complex it is. There's $1.5 billion that are distributed through this formula, and about 1.1 billion ends up with the state of Michigan. So this pie chart on the right shows you that 1.5 billion. We're boiling it down to, where's it go? 75% goes to MDOT. 25%, the blue and orange, that represents all the villages and road commissions in the state. And we compete for the remaining 25%.
Mark, do we also compete with like Metro Transit for that money?
No.
Okay.
They don't compete. They do get money out of that 25%.
Okay, that's where I was going. Thank you.
Yes. Which Kurt knows. And this might be on the test. 66% of the miles are overseen or are the responsibility of the road commission. MDOT has 5%, and city and villages make up the other 29%. So enough of the federal, let's get into state of Michigan. So this pie chart is a little out of date. And Sarah, I'm getting a little twang. I don't know if that's me or. So it's a little out of date. As of October 1st, 40% of the MTF, the Michigan Transportation Fund, comes from gas tax. And we'll go back to that gas pump here in a second. 40% comes from the pump. 41% actually comes from our registrations. The orange down there at the bottom, 17% comes from the general fund. And that's actually comes into play here in a little bit because it's gone away. Then 1% marijuana and 1% interest. So there's that top 21 cents. Now, October 1, we switched something. We switched that 6% sales tax that we used to pay at the pump that didn't go to roads, now goes to roads. So it's not 6% anymore, it's 21 cents. And as inflation incurs, we will move that up. So right now we're starting at 21 cents. I know funding is one of those things. So if anybody has any questions, please pause me because this can get sideways in a hurry. That 21 cents is going to equate to $1.1 billion for the state of Michigan. There's a lot of things that are going to come off the top: buses, TD, economic development, administration. But the $1.1 billion is the important part I want you to remember. So the pie.
That's annual, right?
Annual, yes.
Yep.
Estimated.
Estimated annual, thanks.
And depending on the number of gallons, that's why it's estimated. So the pie chart on the left now is showing the distribution of the MTF, the Michigan Transportation Fund. 39% of the dollars go to road commissions. 39% goes to MDOT. The remaining 22% goes to cities and villages. And 66% of the road miles are maintained by the road commission.
So go back one.
Yeah, no, you got it right. 39%.
39% for 66% of the roads.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for highlighting.
Oh, yes.
Back up there,
Oh,
39%, that's state level, right?
Yes. State of Michigan, MTF formula.
Next slide is just our county.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll vary by county. I'm very selfish. I look at ours.
Yeah.
yep. Good.
So there's three parts to the new road funding. We covered the gas tax and the sales tax. That's part number one. We took the sales tax away from, which would go to the general fund, which benefits our township partners, and it also schools. Thank you. Yeah, it's right on the slide. It was. So those dollars are now coming to us. The other two parts. On the left-hand side, the corporate income tax. Corporate income tax and marijuana are part of what's called the Neighborhood Road Fund. Now, these are separate because we'll get into why in a second. But sticking with the corporate income tax, we don't get to draw directly from this new tax. We are actually the last priority.
Yes.
Others have to be made whole before we can see a dollar. So the general fund has to receive $1.2 billion. Housing has to get $50 million. Then after that, we can have our portion of the corporate income tax, which is estimated at $688 million. Yep,
1.2 billion and the 50 million stay the same, no matter whatever that 688 going up or down.
right. So we gain or lose.
Yep, gain or lose. Thank you.
My question is about the 1.2 and 50 million. Are those fixed, or are those going to be fluctuating with inflation
Fixed.
They're fixed.
Well,
for a little while?
yes, nothing's forever.
Right.
Till the legislature changes their mind.
So flipping over to the right side of the slide is the wholesale tax on marijuana. That's 420 million. Those two combined is $1.1 billion. So we got 1.1, that sales tax converted to the 21 cents, and another 1.1 from the neighborhood road fund. Yes.
And the 420 is an optimistic projection, not. So that's all that represents, right?
I don't know if it's optimistic or pessimistic,
Yeah, I
but
understand. But
in a second, I'll talk about why I think it's optimistic.
Yeah.
Because it's in court right
And
now,
that's
so
a-
that makes it really optimistic.
Yeah.
So,
And it's a brand new tax that has not been collected before, correct?
correct.
That's right.
And we have some funds that are coming off the top from that 1.1. 100 million is going to go to the local bridge program, 100 million to the CTF, and we have the railroad. It's going to get $40 million. Now, this distribution of the neighborhood road fund is different than the MTF. So we're going to have 52% will go to road commissions. MDOT gets 20%. And municipalities so cities and villages get 28%. Now, the challenge, you talked about marijuana, it's being challenged. That 40% is in the courts. I don't even know where it's at. The timeline is unknown. So there's 40% of that new funding that we don't know that'll actually happen. Or the collection of these taxes. So we don't know the corporate income tax. We know that'll be the second half of the year. Started January 1. When will we see it? Well, after $1.2 billion makes its way to the general fund. How that's going to happen, the Michigan State Treasury is working on that. Hopefully they'll be able to give us some guidance so we can project our cash flow a little bit more accurately. So here's our current challenges. In October of 2025, that orange pie from that original pie chart I showed you, that general fund stopped October. Our gas tax didn't start until January 1. Now that's when the state of Michigan started collecting. We don't actually at the road commission see those dollars until 2 months later. So that'll be March. So we're actually taking a hit here in our cash flow for 6 months. So the corporate income tax, maybe it hits September, October, assuming it gets halfway through July, halfway through the year, Treasury sees the money, another 2 months, we see the money. This is the reason why this year it wasn't possible for us to use those neighborhood road funds and give to our township partners. And the marijuana, we don't know. But we do know that, yes.
On the flow of those funds, the neighborhood road funds, certain parts are allocated to other purposes. What I've read so far implies those obligations may have to be met first before the money even gets distributed to road commissions, villages, etc.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
That's the 1 million, the 40 million, 100 million.
Those come off the top. Yep.
So there's uncertainty yet when we'll see our piece of that. If they have to fund those, that the literature hasn't been clear if those have to be funded first. Sounds like they might have to be.
Yes.
Yes.
Off the top always happens first.
Right, yeah, I was gonna say, we should plan on that even, because if just to, hope for the best, expect the worst, or something like that.
Plan for the worst.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. That's why we're
Right.
planning to spend it a year later.
Yes.
So hopefully in that next budget, we'll actually have to contend with this. In our township partners, that 6% sales tax we talked about, local entities got revenue sharing from that. Our township partners here were affected negatively
Yes.
by that cut. I took this screenshot from the MTA, the Michigan Township Association, just to give an understanding of how much. And I know it's varying from year to year because they have a cash flow also where theirs is going to go through January and then it cuts off. So will they get 2 more months of the revenue and then it stops? So the impact may be larger than this in 27.
If you go back one, so those numbers on the very right are what the townships are taking a hit out of the revenue sharing, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
So on the positive side, townships will receive more than they've been negatively impacted by what the plan was.
Right.
The NRF plan, I think the board had discussed it at our work session. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it this year. But the idea was to take $2.5 million and give that to the townships, same amount that goes into our PAR funds, except these neighborhood road funds don't require a match by the township.
Yep. So if you could just back up one more time, if you could. So like I'll pick up like Brady Township. Is losing. Can you back up one slide? So they're losing like 10,188 is what they're losing, but they're gaining in road funding for their township more than that.
Yeah,
So,
I'll go ahead and jump ahead.
oh, okay, perfect.
Brady,
So 141,000.
Right.
So yeah, so they're losing 10,000, but they're going to gain 140,000 in road funding.
Unfortunately, it takes away that flexibility of where those dollars go, but
Yes.
net
Okay.
positive.
Thank you. Sorry to jump. Sorry.
No, yeah, I practiced this, and this is exactly how the practice went. So fire away.
Okay. Good.
Because funding, at least we're interacting and nobody's falling asleep. Well, that's a win right there. And yeah, the last part was that $2.5 million, how it was going to be distributed to the townships was the same way the legislature has been talking about these neighborhood road funds. They want them on the local roads. So we were just going to prorate it by the percent of local miles in each township. Whatever percent they have of the total, that's how much percent they'll get of the 2.5 million.
That allocation based on mileage, the legislation didn't define how to distribute it into local roads. That's a choice we get to make here in our own county as a road commission with our township partners.
Thank you for that clarification. Yes, that's how
That's,
it has been proposed.
yeah.
Which is slightly different than the MTF formula that we use for PAR funds.
Managing Director.
No, I'm just gonna add to that. That's really the direction that staff was, gonna propose to our board. So there is no direction as to where those neighborhood road fund dollars have to go.
Only direction is you cannot require a match. You can ask for one, which I thought was absolutely funny, but you can ask for one, but you can't require
The
it.
township supervisor here, we could ask him if he
Well,
wants.
yeah.
I thought that's the answer we would hear.
So that was a real quick summary of the road funding as we understand it right now. A lot of moving pieces. I know the state of Michigan Treasury Department is still working on some of the timing issues and the estimates. So I'm sure the managing director is working on some stuff with CRA right now, but hope that pretty close to where we are.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. There has not been any direction beyond what Mark has shared today. We are waiting on Treasury to still have that conversation, that webinar with road agencies throughout the county, or excuse me, throughout the state, to better understand how that distribution is going to work and the timing of it all. We do not have any details at all. So this is the most we know. We thought we would share once again. I know we shared briefly at our workshop, but just to make sure our board was up to speed with what we know is to be the latest information, and hopefully we'll hear something soon and we can report back to the board.
And I just have one question.
Okay.
Can anybody answer the question of how many? Well,
66%.
all right, you get an A. Thank you for paying attention.
Questions? Yes, Vice Chair. Questions or
Your
comments?
legislative update from CRA came out yesterday, has a good write-up in it, and then there's some articles referenced. Some of those were really helpful to understand this or gave, I won't call it clarity, it's understand the murky picture better. So, those, I found those very helpful to read those, and, bulleted or in bold was CRA recommends that counties do not adjust their budgets to reflect the NRF new road funds until those funds are in hand. That's how much uncertainty there is there. It's positive, it's uncertainty. That doesn't mean it's negative. It
Right.
just means the timing of this is unclear yet.
Sure.
And it's going to take a while.
And I just wanted to leave with, well, it's wonderful that the legislature was able to get us this additional funding. I wanted to remind everybody the initial beginning ask, it was asked of MDOT to come up with what is that number that we need to fund our infrastructure today for roads and bridges, and that was $4 billion additional per year. I think the House and the governor had proposed $3 billion, 25% less, and we ended up at 1.6 billion. So this is wonderful. We're going to do some great things with these dollars, but we
have to wait for it.
we still have work to do.
Yeah.
It's not,
Vice Chair. Other reading these articles, I think it came last week with this current legislative update, but Berrien County to advance 2 million to the road department. Their decrease in funding.
From our
to the
lawsuit.
point where they needed some, they chose to ask their county to help them interest-free loan 2 million until these dollars flow. But I think our county should understand, and I want to ask our staff. I don't understand. We're in a position like Berry County Road Commission that needs to find some funds to carry through our fiscal year. We cut cost. We're not, I think we have ourselves covered for the shortfall. I asked him that right.
We're dipping into that reserve, which we don't like to tap into,
right,
for emergencies.
Yeah, but so far we can carry forward, dipping into our reserves and cutting back some areas until this funding sorts itself out. We're not going to be able to do what we had hoped we could do, but we're going to pay our bills on our own so far.
That's what I understand.
Right. So I can help clarify that. So we do have a shortage from last year. We think it's, help me out, Kim, 1.2 million maybe in that neighborhood. So pretty significant decrease from last year's budget. But we do have a fund balance to offset that. We actually have been trying to set some dollars aside to match SS4A projects. So we're dipping into those dollars specifically in the short term. But we're anticipating hopefully March we'll start seeing the increase in revenue show up in our MTF payment to help offset that and then catch us up hopefully by late summer, early fall is what we understand.
Okay.
Commissioner Davis.
Vice Chair, I was just getting some clarification. Was that a loan made between the county and the road commission, the county, or the road commission and one of their townships?
Okay. It's Berrien County Road Commission to their county getting an interest-free loan to be paid back within the year 2026 to help them carry their shortfall, this reduction in funding that occurred as these new road funds or the legislation takes effect. The article's right here. You can pick it up.
Okay, I couldn't get in my computer this morning. So is it Berry or Berrien?
Berrien.
Okay, Berrien has a county road department, so they don't have a road.
Oh,
commission.
okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
No, that makes it clear. I'm fine.
Okay.
I'll look at it.
I just wanted to be clear, there's a significant impact.
Mhm.
This is,
I understand.
townships felt they got
Yep.
whacked. We have this temporary loss of
Right.
1.2 million from our prior fiscal year.
Well, my follow-up question with that, or thought was that So we're taking, I know we're adopting it, I know we adjusted our accounting to make good the shortfall in waiting for the new funding to come. My question is, how are our townships dealing with that? And are our townships going to be equally resilient, or are they going to be in trouble coming into this new year, looking for ways to keep their road projects moving before the money starts to flow again?
Well, I think the legislature in their infinite wisdom gave us a road deal, but before the money kicks in, they cut the general fund on October 1st, before January 1st, before everything kicked in. So yeah, it was not the way I would have suggested they do that.
I think we will see townships projections with the power funds are available. The contracts are out with townships. Maybe some of those are starting to come back. Townships are budgeting and committing to what's been our norm, matching funds, the power funds. And they'll be determining now budget year. A lot of the township starts April 1, if I remember right. So they're in the wrangling process right now to say, how are they going to allocate to their priorities? One of those hopefully is matching funds through the power fund program.
Yes.
And we have received commitment from all the townships to match par.
You do have it.
Good.
So they're committing to continue.
They are.
Good. That's a good sign that they're finding a way to manage their budgets and continue their road work, partnering in the road work.
Am I correct in summarizing that we're just keeping the status quo going, and in light of our hit that we took, that's what we're going to dip out of our reserves to keep the status quo going through 2026 until the new funding kicks in 2027. So,
Right. I think, did we up our power funds a little bit?
We did minor, I think from 2.4 something to 2.5 even.
So the key point, we didn't reduce them. We
actually increased them.
Means we've
actually increased a little bit.
slightly increased, yeah. Rather than having taken proportional hit, we said, no, let's keep the power fund program intact.
And certainly our PAR program is one of the, I think, reasons that we have such a good road network, a county road network compared to our other counties.
And it works because the townships match.
Absolutely.
That's
without the township.
critical partners there for that.
Absolutely. Okay. Any other questions, comments from the commissioners for Mark?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on. Next is new business. Item A, request acceptance of roadways in Gilmore Farms, number 2, phase 4B development, section 15, Richland Township, managing director.
All right, a little background here. So on November 19th of 2024, the board approved the preliminary plans for the site condominium extension of Gilmore Farms number 2, phase 4B. This development features 15 new condominium units and extension of 358.87 feet of, I think we called this Cowley Court, not Crowley, correct? It's Cowley Court. So a correction there.
Okay.
Including a permanent cul-de-sac within the development. The development is a site condominium located south of M89, east of 30th Street, Richland Township. Is made up of a mix of both public and private roadways. The Cowley Court extension is the only public roadway as part of this current phase. So approximately 620 feet of the private roadway were also built in Gilmore Farms number 2. This section of Cowley Court was designed to be public because it extends an existing road and terminates into a cul-de-sac. Construction plans were approved on March of 2025 and construction began shortly thereafter. The development utilizes a private drainage retention pond located immediately south of the site, which is maintained by the condo association. Storm and sanitary sewer infrastructure has been constructed during the previous phases of the development, and the water main had previously been stubbed for future extensions. The development is now complete and all final acceptance documents have been submitted, including as-built drawings, benchmarks, and right-of-way and centerline survey documents. All punch list items have been completed. So With that, we recommend the board the extension of Cowley Court, 358.87 feet or 7/100ths of a mile in the Gilmore Farms #2, Phase 4B, located in Section 15 of Richland Township, into the public road system for certification.
Okay, a motion would be in order.
Motion Thompson. And I'll second that. motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Thompson with support from Commissioner Davis. Questions, comments from the audience here in the building or online? Anybody online have any questions or comments? And commissioners, finally, Commissioner Kennedy.
So I just want to make sure that what we're recommending is that adjustment for Cowley Court or Crowley Court, that they verify that it's what street it is. Okay, well,
I just verified right, it is Cowley Court, not Crowley. There's no R. If you look at all the documents from Whiteland, it says Cowley Court. Which is a good question because we have issues with road names being certified improperly. So
Yes.
On the map program in the iPad here, which is Apple based, but it uses Cowley, Kowley. I wanted to understand what the public roads were in the development adjacent. I don't know if anyone has that at hand. I assume it's public road getting to this new cul-de-sac.
So Jim Hoekstra, our assistant county engineer, can help explain. I think, Commissioner, what you're asking is this new section of public road adjacent to or tied to our current public system?
Yes.
So yes, Jim Hoekstra, Assistant County Engineer. Cowley, let's see if I can get this right. Cowley Court. It does continue off Bantingham Road or Banting Road or whatever that road is. So it does continue. Actually, this road, Cowley Court, was stubbed initially to the north with a cul-de-sac. This is simply an extension to the south.
Okay.
So it does tie into the public road network. The private roads that were constructed here were primarily to the west. Slough Trevant kind of finished its loop. So that was the other part of the construction that occurred. But those roads are not public. Well, they do some public. That is your question.
Yeah, I have the overview here, so I understand that. Okay. And is it clear to the public there that what's public, what's private is like their, do we require, or does the developer put up signs saying, Bruton Band, that's a private road?
We do put up signs that say the private road name, and it will say private behind it or below it, one of the two. So we do try to designate that. It is a source of confusion for the public, and we've learned good lessons in the past off this. Primarily coming into this development of Lawson Lane, where that tees in one lane that's private, and that confuses the public to no end. One thing we tried in this is where Slough Trevant ties into public road, we created a roundabout. So rather than a T intersection with, the angle being the public roads and then private coming on, we actually did a roundabout there to try to make this a little bit more understandable to the public.
So the roundabout's public.
It is.
Okay. And we don't snowplow the private roads, right?
We do now. No.
I know that, but anyway, clarify.
Good clarifying question, you bet.
So it's critical we understand. Yeah. Okay.
Commissioner Davis?
Couple quick things. One, just understanding the cost this we acquire when we take on a private road or extend it our public roadways. So what's the annual going to be on this additional 652 feet or so? What's that going to cost us for maintenance and long term?
I don't know if we have maintenance cost per foot?
Approximately, an approximate.
Yeah, I think it's so variable. I think it would be difficult to say, you know, including all types of maintenance. But we can do a little research and see if we can't come up with a cost per mile for that condition of a road.
Yeah, it's just, you know, we're taking on something, they're selling it to us for $1, but what's it gonna cost us in the, you know, for the next, project out 10 years or something.
If I could, Ryan Makers County Engineer, just for perspective, there was a section of road in Texas Township, I think it was 800 feet long. And an inquiry came into like what we get in revenue for that a year.
Yeah.
And that was about $800 a year. So the costs we get in, whatever we do in maintenance are likely gonna, what cost we get revenue wise is not gonna cover fully the cost to maintain the road. So
It's where I was heading. Is like, where, you know, what's the cost?
right. So this one's shorter than that 800 feet. So we're gonna get less than that.
Okay.
$800
Yeah.
per year for the road.
But we will get reimbursed. We will get money for it. It will be included in our network.
Okay, and then the other part of that was I noticed that on the engineering drawings, there's quite a bit of grade on this stretch of road. Is that going to have any effect on our ability to maintain it?
No, we do not believe so. It met all our standards and design guidance that we had in the initial. So we do not believe that there will be any problem with the grade on this road.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from commissioners? Very good. Thank you, Jim. All right, all in favor of accepting the roadways at Gilmore Farms #2, Phase 4B Development, Section 15 in Richland Township, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Very good. Thank you. Next will take us to our second opportunity for public comment on non-agenda items. If there's anybody in the public like to speak on non-agenda items here in the building, or anyone online that would like to speak? Anna?
Yeah, thank you. This was on the agenda, but I'm hoping I can still give public comments about the road funding. I appreciate the navigating a new funding source and some of the challenges, both from the legal side, the logistics, the operations, that it just takes all of us a little while once we start implementing all sorts of new things, whether it is funding or policy, that it just takes all of us together to recognize that there's going to be a learning curve. So I appreciate that the road commission and staff is trying to, be kind of conscious that they're not getting their feet out ahead of each other and giving out road funding or promising it in a certain formula until you're sure that, it's coming in and what the implications of that are going to be. Some of the ideas I had after hearing the budget discussion, I would like to see some broader engagement from the townships on what they have in their master plans related to roads, non-motorized, and how those can be incorporated in with some of this new road funding, whether the neighborhood road funds could be used for non-motorized or some more safety enhancements. I think would be a great way to use those and see them provide a huge return on investment in our communities. So I am happy to help. I look forward to the continued discussions, but I think there's a lot of ways that we can use this funding, and I trust that we can come up with some creative, policy from both ends on how to make these dollars fit what our constituents are asking for. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the input. Any other comments from online participants? Seeing none. All right, we will move on into the next item on the agenda, the managing director report.
All right, a few items this afternoon. First of all on my list is to talk about the local road contracts. So we have worked with our townships to update our local road contracts for 2026. So they'll look a little bit different than they have in the past. Primarily, we are not going to list all of the projects on the local road contract for the year. We actually reference the 5-year capital improvement plan for that township. So our goal here, as we move ahead, is to be able to use the 5-year plan in conjunction with our local road contracts to do as much work as possible that construction year. So that eliminates the need for contingency type contracts. So as we complete projects throughout the year, if there's dollars that are saved on projects, we simply just continue to move to the next project and expend those dollars until the funds are gone. Specifically in our language, with our local road contract, we talk about using the participation funds first. So that would be the road commission's participation along with the match dollars with the townships. And then from there, we move to the additional dollars that some townships would provide on projects to use those dollars. And then when we get to the point where there's neighborhood road fund dollars, those dollars would kick in, continue projects until the dollars are spent that year. Understanding that the dollars that are available in the neighborhood road fund may not exactly match the dollars needed for each project to get them completed. So we may stop just shy and have a few dollars left over in the neighborhood road fund. The contract specifically states that we would carry those dollars forward into the next year with that specific township. And we may run into a scenario where it just makes sense to finish the project. Maybe we're 90% complete and we actually go beyond the dollars that are available in the contract. And the contract also specifically states that those dollars would be recaptured the following year out of the neighborhood road fund first. So really, at the end of the day, we're really trying to do as much work as possible in any construction year. So those contracts are out to the townships. I know Mark's working on that now. Hopefully we'll see a few contracts back actually for our next board agenda. Next on my list, I just wanted to share with the board briefly. We have a new solar farm project that's looked like it's going to move forward here shortly in Richland Township. It's called Liberty Farms Solar Project, and it's a project we're working with Consumers Energy on at this point. It's a significant size project. It's approximately 1,200 acres of solar panels. It's a 2-year project. And we're obviously working with consumers on understanding their needs in the area for construction. There's quite a road system there that we have in place that they're going to have to use. So we're looking at a land use agreement with them. We actually had a meeting scheduled for tomorrow. It's now been postponed for 2 weeks. So we'll have more to hopefully share here at the next board meeting coming up. Also, I wanted to mention with this project, we are working with the township, so Richland Township in this situation, the drain office, and even MDOT, simply because the entrance to this project is off M43, M89. And then also, we may be working with Berry County as one of the entrances into this project will be from the north from Berry also. A few other items to share. Tomorrow I'll be at Climax Rotary talking about our new road funding package, similar to what Mark talked about today. We have our Southwest Council meeting coming up at Berry County. That's on February 9th. February 10th, we have our quarterly liaison meeting with the county board representatives. So that's coming up shortly for chair and vice chair. April 7th, we do have a joint meeting scheduled with Ashtabula Township, and that's here at the Road Commission, and that's immediately following our regular meeting. So their board will be coming our way. I know Ashtabula Township will have some questions in advance that our staff can help work through. I don't know if we'll have a presentation. I think it's all based on what we get for questions. If they're more relevant in one area, we may put something together as a response, but if not, we'll just take the question at a time. But also I encourage our board, if we have questions for Ashtabula Township also, please get them to me here shortly so I can get those off to Ashtabula Township. And then the last thing I wanted to share, we received a letter from Ashtabula Township, really just thanking us for working with them on the Fruit Belt Rail Trail. If the board recalls, this is where there was a piece of property that the township needed for a trailhead. It was owned by the Road Commission, and the township approached us to purchase that property for basically a donation of $1. So we are through that process. The township hopefully is moving forward with their project. So just thanking us for all their help, and making that happen for them. So I just wanted to share that with the board. That's all I have, unless there's questions for me.
Questions for the managing director, commissioners, vice chair?
I wanted to double check date. Liaison meeting is February 10th, did you say?
That's correct.
Okay, this was getting into my calendar.
Other questions, comments from commissioners? Commissioner Davis?
It's just, I can't, Liberty Farm Solar. There's just, if there's a battery storage facility associated with that, don't let anybody.
We haven't heard anything of a battery storage facility in that location, so.
Yeah.
Strictly so.
Other questions, comments from commissioners? Thank you very much, managing director. All right. Oh, vice chair. Yes, go ahead.
Kind of high level, how we doing with all the extra stone removal work we've got? Do you still have salt and sand? Yeah, high level.
Sure. I don't have any exact budget numbers for you. At the end of 2025, I know we had a record year, 3.5 million roundabouts, at least, right? So more than we've ever spent on winter maintenance last year by far. And it has continued into this year. Many days we've been out working long hours. Fortunately, it's been cold, so limited on salt usage. But the salt sand, we've used our fair share. We've used more than a normal winter season already this year of our salt sand. We have replenished our piles. Our salt sand, we filled up for what we would anticipate would be enough for next year. And we're already digging into that pile currently. Our salt, we still have a fair amount of salt left, but we opted to take our order for next year. So that's currently coming in also. So we have plenty of material to do the work, but we are starting to dig into next year's supply.
Commissioner Davis?
How's the crew holding up? Is the morale?
They're about ready to be done plowing snow. They're ready to go past potholes by now.
Yeah.
So it seems like every weekend they've worked, right? So and long hours, week after week. So
Saw a lot of overtime on this last.
there are lots of effort. So we appreciate all they're doing. It's quite the feat, quite the dedication on their part, especially when it's snowing and blowing. And they can't even see when they're out there working, particularly at night.
I see a budget amendment in our future.
Well, February 2nd is coming very soon. And it's the halfway point between the solstice and the equinox. We're halfway there. All right. Any other questions or comments for the managing director? Hearing none, we will get into commissioner's comment. Commissioner Kennedy.
So, Commissioner Davis kind of went where I was going to go. As far as our staff and how staff was doing, etc. So I appreciate your answering that question and also sharing with them that I don't know if the word is rooting for them or just know that they're out there working really hard. We're very much aware.
Mhm.
So thank you.
Yes.
That's all I got.
Okay. Commissioner Davis.
I don't have a lot to report, but they probably appreciate donuts.
Oh,
There you go.
keep that in mind.
Commissioner Thompson.
I last week made my first meeting at Schoolcraft Township, and it was welcomed by them. And I think they've been happy with everything. I too want to thank the staff for all the snow plowing. As a guy that does it himself, I'm ready for winter to be over with. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Stayhauer.
Well, I remember last year going to see my kids in Texas time of year, and they had 5 inches of snow in Houston. We are going again, so I'm going to be away next week, but I'm not, I might take my snow gear with me. They're below freezing now. So thank you to Commissioner Kennedy. She'll cover Park Commission meeting next week, Thursday. That's programmed. Snowplow rides. I don't encourage staff. I'd take a snowplow ride just to give them a little camaraderie or something. I don't need one. Don't take it that way. But I know our managing director has said that's an option. I've gone 3 times, I think, in the past, so, it's a good experience to see what it's like, boots on the ground. I was able to attend Ashtimo Township meeting, the 13th. January 21 was with the, township supervisors, their meetings, and Mark was in his glory because the new president of WMU was there. So it's good to get exposed to each other and, hear what's on his mind, and he took questions as well.
Yes.
Yes,
Mhm.
so, great, yeah, go Broncos, huh? So, well, anyway, great respect both ways to have him, that he came,
Yes.
to the supervisors meeting and, vice versa. He took the time, the supervisors took time for him, as well as other government and community people there. I think from the townships, we heard some of their challenges. Thinking of solar fields, battery storage, data centers anyway. I really appreciate the township supervisors meeting that way. It kind of broadens our horizons and helps us understand more of the things on their plates too. I think that's all I have right now. So, I might go to Ashtimo tonight unless it's too stormy. I see they tuned in today. Thank you, Ashtimo Township, for tuning in virtually. That's all right now. Thanks.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Just a few items. First of all, I will be absent, and I forget where I put my note, February 24th, so I will not be here. So Vice Chair Stahauer will be running the meeting in my absence. Want to thank the crews for hard work, and as was mentioned, and I know that the snow is getting thicker and doesn't seem to be going, and the temperatures are getting colder. So appreciate all the good work that everyone's doing. Keep up the good work. To my fellow commissioners, if you have questions for the county commissioners and our liaisons, please let me know, email me, or any questions or comments, and we'll just bring those up to at our February 10th meeting. Getting slightly back to the neighborhood road funding. We know that the townships are taking a hit with their revenue sharing, and that this neighborhood road funding is there to help cushion that blow. I think the intent of the legislation was that this would not require a match for these neighborhood road funding funds. So I think that's our totally what our direction we're going to take. The important thing is that it's in addition to what we're already doing, not instead of, so that we can maintain our county road network and our townships in a good condition compared to. We have one of the best county road networks in the state, so we want to keep it that way. And so, as I always say, it's an addition to, not instead of. So I think that's where we're going to go with it. I see we have two supervisors on the line and one here, so that's our intent, and we appreciate your feedback and your input as well. So, and I also want to thank the president of Western Michigan for being here at the township supervisors meeting. It was great, great collaboration, and look forward to more collaboration like that in the future. And I think, I want to thank the Kalamazoo the Convention and Visitors Bureau for being here today. So that Discover Kalamazoo, I think their name is. So thank you for being here. That was good. And we look forward to working with them as well. If there's no other business, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So motioned. Support.
Any discussion or no discussion on the all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.